Hi, it's Therese from Lostinpaper, and I'm here for Altenew today, and I have a gold wedding to share with you. So no black in this card at all. I have pretty much embossed all the pieces that I'm going to use. So I've started out by stamping my images, and you can't really see them, they're on some white cardstock with some Versamark ink. And this is a couple of dresses, but I wanted to add some details to the dress. I'm using a Versa marker. This is a pen that has the same kind of ink in it, and just adding sort of a gold top to one of the dresses. And I've stamped out a flower bouquet, and that's out of the Celebrations set, which is also very beautiful. Now these dresses come from a set called Ladies' Day Out, and has lots of fun sort of girly kind of images and also some great sentiments, and I thought it'd be fun to make my own wedding dress using this gorgeous dress, and I wanted it to be sort of a double layer. That's why I've done two of the dresses, but I'll show you how I do that in just a minute. So I've used the Altenew's antique gold embossing powder here, and I'm just heat setting it with my heat tool, and this powder is so beautiful. It actually doesn't leave, I don't know if you've ever had any problems with gold embossing powder in particular, leaving residue on the cardstock. I did actually prep my cardstock first with a powder bag, but I've found that some of the gold embossing powders really leave like a haze of a dark sort of a brownie colour, and this doesn't do that at all. It's a beautiful gold. I'm coming in with my zigs now to add some colour, and I'm just doing this direct to paper. I'm not adding any water because this cardstock is just my regular cardstock. It's nothing fancy. And with the gold embossing, it is a little bit forgiving with the watercolour zigs, because you've got kind of the ridges of the embossing powder there to hold the ink in and stop it from spreading, so you don't need to wait for it to dry so much. I've cut down one of the dresses. This is going to be the dress that goes underneath, and I'm using some of the larger glue dots on the front of the dress because these have a really strong hold. And I've got some tulle here, and I'm just scrunching it up. I've cut it to about, I don't know, it's about 10 centimeters wide, and I'm just scrunching it to make it look a little bit dressy, and then I'm going to adhere that directly onto those glue dots, and that should hold pretty well. And then just for some extra support, I did decide to wrap some tape around the outside. You could use any kind of tape. I've just got some micropore tape here, and that's just going to hold that little tulle dress in place. So I also did cut the flowers out. I'm not sure if you noticed that there, but I did fussy cut them out. I'm using the framed set of images, and I've chosen one of the frames, and using some pale grey cardstock, stamped it out in my Versamark ink again, and added the gold embossing powder, and then I'm going to heat set that as well. I was originally going to use this smaller congratulations sentiment, but I changed my mind along the way. I didn't want a grey border on this framed set stamp image, so I did actually cut right up to the embossing powder just with a nice sharp straight pair of scissors. And to make my frame look golden, I've just used some Tombow markers this time direct on the paper, and I did test these off to the side first just to see what the colours would look like before I started colouring my frame in. And I think this kind of worked well. It's just something a little bit different. I also added some grey corners to my cardstock, like the inner cardstock or the back. It's not a mirror. I don't know if it's meant to look like a mirror or got frame. I wasn't sure. But anyway, I've added some grey to the corners. This is just a Prismacolor pencil. You could use any colour pencil just to add some shading. Now this is the Celebrations set that I got the flowers from, and I'm also getting my sentiment from this set. It's a beautiful word which says congratulations, and the font on this word is so beautiful, and I am gold embossing it yet again. And this is directly on my card front, And I've just got my frame sitting in place so that I know where the center of the card is and where I want the frame to sit. Look at that font. Isn't that amazing? I'd love to be able to write like that. And I did actually sit this under some books for a little while just to flatten it out. It didn't warp too much, but I wanted to make sure it was flat before I assembled my card. I've just got the tape runner adding some adhesive behind my frame. I did want it to be adhered directly on my card front because I do have a tendency to pop everything up. I don't know if you've noticed, but I do have a tendency to do that, and I didn't pop this up. I was so proud of myself. My dress, I have added a pop dot though. I couldn't help myself. And I'm also going to add some dotted adhesive as well. And this foam adhesive square is actually quite high, but you could double up your foam adhesive to make sure that it's the same height as the dress beneath. And 1mm pop dots on the back of my flowers, just so they're slightly higher yet again, but not too much at all. And we're nearly there. As a final touch, I did add some, these are some glass like seed beads. I've had these for years. I used to use them in my cross stitching, and now I'm using them on my cards. Adding some matte medium and popping these throughout my bouquet. And that's my finished card for today. Thanks so much for joining me. I've had such a great time making this golden wedding dress for Altenew. So till next time, happy paper crafting. Bye.